All right, this is take two because take one got a little too convoluted and I lost my way. I'm making this video to try to give you information about how to join my league, my fantasy baseball league. It's going to be on Fantrax. It's head-to-head categories. It's going to be 14 teams, and we use 8 offensive categories, 8 pitching categories, and even fielding percentage. So it's more intense than your standard category league, which is normally 5 by 5. And the thing about our league that differentiates it from anything else that you've played is our salary structure and our keeper rules. We've had this league going now. I say we, my own friends in that I all know in person. We've been in this version of this league for 8 years, and we've refined the rules. We've changed some of these financial values to make our keeper system as interesting as it can be. And we feel like we've got it to a place where it's almost perfect. We are going to continue with our league. I'm not asking you to join our league. I'm asking you to join a mirror image of our league that is new, that is starting from scratch. You'll be able to draft your whole team. You won't have any keeper decisions to make up front because it'll just be a draft. But I think the concept is, for me, why I want to do this. One, we built this league, but I had a lot of input, creative input on how it goes, and I just think it would be really fun to take a product that we all know so well, and we have certain groupthink on what's the best way to operate a club, a franchise, and it would be really fun to turn it over to 14 new people and just see what they do, because without any preconceived ideas on what they should do, it would just be really fun to watch that as a little experiment. And our league will be watching, and you can watch ours, obviously. Um, but what was I saying? The real big picture reason I want to do this, a lot of the folks I'm asking to join this league are coming from the Mesh Basketball League, where there are 14 different conferences, which are all their own unique league. And we're all a part of this bigger universe where we have an individual ranking from 1 to 184. We sometimes even match up directly against each other, even though we may have some of the same players, because we are each living in our own little world, but we're all a part of the same universe. I want to explore the potential for that. I've already talked to the commissioner of the mesh leagues, and he's not interested in baseball until it gets on Sleeper. And that's not, frankly, even going to be remotely competitive to this because Sleeper will never do categories. So I'm quite comfortable with this. I'll tell him about it, no problem. Not stepping on anyone's toes. I think it would be fun to produce that kind of environment for baseball. Baseball is the best fantasy sport there is, there's no question. And I'm very passionate about it. Our whole league really loves this league. And so I figured other people might too. So I want to see, this will be my test case, this mirror league that I am asking you to join. It's going to be my window to look and see, could I sustain multiple leagues? How much work does it take for me to support and, um, incentivize a league, make it fun? Could I eventually expand this out to 3, 4, 5, 6 leagues and have that one big universe feel, which I think is so magical for the mesh leagues, but for baseball? So my league that I am actually in, because I will not be a part of this 14-man league. I don't want to take any of my attention away from like a playing standpoint from my original group of guys. We'll continue, and then this league will be created, and I will see what the demand looks like on me. I'll see if you guys even like it. It could be that we're the only crazy ones who want to do this, and maybe you won't. But if you do, and I can sustain this and make sure that my original league is having just as much fun as ever, while hopefully helping your league have a lot of fun, then I want to push that and see if we can't make it happen. So, big picture, that's why I want to do this. I'll get into the specifics so you can kind of see why it's special, why it's different, why it's worth doing. And then we can cover more of like the generic stuff, rules and setup, and how does it all exactly work. But first and foremost, I need to tell you the differentiator, the keeper system, the financial implications, your budget, the trade dynamics for buyers and sellers, and how that works. And I will do that next. So on the screen, there was already an image here. If you look at this table, you'll notice there's years listed here: 25, 24, 23, 22, and 21. So this is referring to a player's cost. So every year, every team has 30 draft picks from 1 to 30. straightforward. It's a 40-man league, so you will own 40 total players, but it is assumed that you will be carrying over 8 to 12 keepers. That's not a cap. You could keep less, you could keep more. But the gist is you have $100 of fake money to spend. Your keeper budget is $100. So when you look at this chart, these are player values. So when you draft a player, you're essentially exchanging a draft pick for a player. And depending on what round you draft that player, they are given a cost for the following year if you choose to keep them. You never have to keep anyone. It's your choice each and every time. And players can be kept 4 times over. That means you get them 1 year at the draft for free, and then 4 successive options to keep them. So again, year 1 at the draft, the only cost is your draft pick. The next year, if you want them on your team again, you will have to pay $12 for a first rounder. And you'll notice that as these rounds go down, the value gets cheaper. And it's not quite exponentially cheaper, but it is significant, the difference. So the difference between round 1 and round 10, keep in mind, there are 30 rounds, so that's a third of the draft. The difference between them is $4.25, and then the difference between round 10 and round 20 is only $3.50. The difference between round 20 and round 30 is only $2.25. So basically we're creating this dynamic where the best players are more expensive by, it's not a linear change as you go down. The best players are more expensive by design. And then not only are they more expensive at the beginning, but each year that you choose to keep them over again, they get more expensive. So first year players are free. You keep them once, they're $12. If you keep them again, their price is increased to $16. If you keep them again the next year, their price increases to $20. So now we're talking about $20 out of a $100 budget for one player on a 40-man team. Baseball, you need more than one player to win in real life and in fantasy. So it gets really dicey when you're starting to talk about a fourth of your budget, a fifth of your budget if you go for the maximum number of years on a first round pick. So someone like Shohei Ohtani might be worth $25, but boy, there aren't that many people who are worth that. So the whole intent of this keeper system is to make it so that you have to make difficult decisions as an owner. Everyone wants to keep their best players. Duh. But when you only have $100 and that is the only way you can keep someone over from a previous roster to the new roster for your new season, it's tough. Do I keep a $25 true top 10, top 5 stud who I know will produce and be elite? Or do I keep maybe like a second year round 19 guy, a first year 22nd round guy, and then like a fourth year 27th round guy? And you know, that total could add up to roughly the same as one top of the line stud in their 5th year of ownership. That's a tough choice. And depending on the direction of your team, you might choose differently. Depending on who is out there on the market actively buying or selling, you may behave differently. If you feel like you can actually trade that $25 player to someone who is desperate for talent, they have all this money, but they don't really have anyone good to spend it on, trade that guy, your $25 player, that not very many teams are going to want because that's too much money. Maybe they will give you a nice contract back because all they have are good contracts, but no one who's actually really, really elite. Sometimes you can find a happy pairing like that. And so with 14 teams and a really complex keeper setup like this, and players who, after 8 years, we have all kinds of players coming into the league every year who become elite. And so these timelines kind of naturally over time make it so that every year there are elite people coming up against either their expiration, where they cannot be kept again. They've already been kept 4 times after the free draft year. Sometimes that pushes players back into the draft. Sometimes it's just cost casualties. You just can't afford $20, even if it's Jose Ramirez. You're just like, that's too much money. I can't swing that. I need to have other people on my team, or I don't feel like I'm going to be able to win. For all kinds of reasons, teams are ready to move on from great players. And usually, for every team that has excess and is looking to sell a elite bat, there's a team that doesn't have very much talent that basically has cap space and is ready to distribute some kind of lower level contract that's probably solid value to get back that elite guy. So we see trades like this all the time. And this is both at the trade deadline, where we have found it is not uncommon for someone to liquidate literally their first 10 picks, meaning they do not pick in the first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, or 10th round of the next year's draft. Like, we have teams that go all in, and usually there's two or three. So there's a couple teams that the following year in the off season, they are trying desperately to offload this. Like, they have $300 of great players because they bought in so aggressively, leveraging all of their draft picks. Now they're going to the teams that acquired picks as part of the sale process at the following trade deadline, and we're trying to say, hey, you sold me this player and I gave you my first round pick last year. How about I sell him right back to you? Maybe you'll give me your third, maybe your fourth, right? And so there's this dynamic of, I know if I'm a buyer in the off season, I know that you are going to have to drop those people for absolutely nothing if you don't sell them. So I'm not giving you anywhere near what you paid me to take them. I'll take them back, but only at a really big discount. So we have these kinds of discussions, and that's what makes it so fun. Our league has been going 8 seasons, and we've had over 400 trades. And I'm working on a way to kind of catalog them in a better way. But I used to literally log every trade like this. And I had borders on here, but I took them off to make it easier. I'm basically building a new trade log. So here you'll see that back on June 1st of 2018, I traded Alex Juan Soto, who was a rookie, just come up, was hitting the cover off the ball, and I thought I could sell high, and I could package up Soto, an old Jake Arrieta, Blake Trinan, and Asdrubal Cabrera. Here are all of their costs. Here's their draft rounds. Here are their positions. And I wanted JD Martinez. So I thought, let me just take, this young rookie who knows if he'll amount to anything. Let me package them all up. Let me get JD Martinez and bolster my squad right now. And Alex wisely took me on that deal, or took me up on that deal. And then he had Juan Soto. So we've had, like I said, over 400 trades. I've only cataloged in this new format, like the first 100. So there's 3 times more than what you've just seen in terms of individual transactions, trades between multiple teams. Each of these colors represents a different team. We all have a color. So anyway, I would be building a spreadsheet that looks just like this for your league too. And so on this like rosters page, I was paying mostly attention over here to the matrix, but like here's an example of a current team and what players they have. So Maffey is an example. This actually is a little bit outdated, but Maffey has Julio Rodriguez. He was a first round pick. He's going to cost $12 to keep. He has Matt Olson, who was a first round pick in 2024. So he costs $16 to keep. He has Rafael Devers, who is a first round pick in 2024. So he also costs $16 to keep. So those are 3 elite bats. If he wants to keep all 3, that's already $44 out of his $100 budget. You start to look down further, he has guys like Kyle Manzardo for $625, Cam Smith for $425, Jack Leiter for $5, maybe Andy Pages for $530. So those 4 players, Manzardo, Pages, Smith, and Leiter, cost $20.80. So it's not that big of a stretch to say he has to choose, does he want those 4 guys or does he want Rafael Devers? It's a $4 difference between those 2 options. So I think you could see, if you know who those players are, young guys with good contracts, you could choose to drop Devers. Hopefully you don't just let him go for nothing. Hopefully you trade him, right? But this is the core tenet of our league. This is what we have to do every offseason. We have to really think hard about how can we maximize our $100 to help accomplish our goal. And frankly, so much of the time, if you're going for the championship, you're selling everything you have. And so your goals are very different the off season after that. you're probably not winning the next year. That's just the cost of doing business and going all in, which that may not happen in your league. But in our league, like if you're not prepared to go all in, you're not going to win it. So you've got to be prepared to go scorched earth almost. So the next season, I'm in this situation right now. I just went all in. I literally have a 13th round draft pick is the first one I have out of a 30 round draft the next season coming up. I did not win. So my goals, I'm still deciding. Am I vain enough to try to still make it happen? Because I have a great $100 worth of keepers. Excellent. Probably like a top 2 or 3 group if I keep all my studs. However, I could also sell Paul Skeens, Cal Raleigh, and there are going to be a few teams who have a mountain of picks right now, all my picks, all these other buyers' picks. They'll probably give me a lot of those picks back if I'm willing to give them Cal Raleigh and Paul Skeens. So then there's this cat and mouse game. They know I will have to drop really good players if I do not trade them, and so they're not going to offer me top dollar. What can I get back? Is what I'm getting back enough to vault me back into contention right away? If not, I probably shouldn't even be looking at draft picks. I should probably be trying to get the best contracts I can find so that next year I have a good core of valuable contracts that I can then pair with a full allotment of draft picks. Because right now I have barely any. Next year they'll all be back, replenished automatically. Each year you get 30. So like these are the kinds of decisions you have to make. And that is why it's a unique league. That's why it's fun. We all think of it as the best fantasy league that we have been in to a man. I believe that's accurate. And yeah, so like there's a lot of different teams. They all have different scenarios. All of their players are here. You know, every one of us has a keeper calculator where we can plug in all of our players and kind of look at, you know, who could I possibly afford to keep? So like this is my team. And right now I've mocked to keep Kyle Tucker, Paul Skeens, Vlad Guerrero Jr., Garrett Crochet, Cal Raleigh, Max Fried, Byron Buxton, Wilyer Abreu because he's an exceptional contract, and Yuri Perez. That team that's stacked. I mean, that's a $100. That's $99.75, and that is stacked. But if I supplement that with 0 draft picks before the 13th round, I'm not winning this league. So I've got to make some kind of a decision. I can try to sell all these other guys, you know, maybe Jordan Westberg at $6.05. He still has like 3 years of keeper eligibility left. That's a good contract. I can sell that. Someone will buy that for sure. Will someone buy $23 Corbin Carroll? That's a fourth of their budget. That's going to be a hard sell no matter how good Corbin Carroll just was. And, you know, he is the number 10 ADP last year. But I still probably can't find him a home at $23. So if anyone sends me anything for Corbin Carroll, I'll be tempted to take it. I have to draw a line in the sand somewhere where I'd say I would rather burn Corbin Carroll than take your 17th rounder. But I mean, I'm listening on anything someone wants to offer me for Corbin Carroll because I have $392 of players that I think are good and that someone could want. And so anyways, I think you get the picture, right? This is how the league works. And it's just a blast. So yeah, and trust that I will be putting in a lot of work behind the scenes to make it fun. You know, we have our own little Discord where I have video links for every week. We do a weekly recap. So let's see. Yeah, so, you know, last season we have a weekly analysis video on every week. I did opening day power rankings. I did a video on our keepers in our draft class. Every week I'm posting a video to kind of talk it out. Literally, it just goes to like the 10 of us. That could grow to 20 something of us, as I would want to do some updates on both. But yeah, so it's a categories league. I think that's probably enough on like the unique identifier. If you do not know what a categories league is, categories league, it measures individual statistics. So a lot of people that are watching this that I've invited are coming from basketball, where categories is not unusual. So you might be familiar, but in baseball, the categories that we use are runs, home runs, RBIs, walks, stolen bases, net. So if you get caught, it's -1. Average, slugging, and strikeout percentage. Offensively, right? Lower is better. You do not want to strike out. So the lower your strikeout rate, the better. So we measure all 8 of those things, and they are all equal. Each of them is worth 1. And so if you win all 8, your record for the week is not 1-0. Your record for that week for your hitting categories is 8-0. If you win 5 and you lose 3, your record is 5-3. So at the end of the season, the standings for teams look crazy. They don't look like 17-4. They look like 209, 116, and 11. That was my record last year. I was the second best team in the regular season. That is what it looks like. You still can look at this game's back column and see easily kind of like how far back are you. So don't be dissuaded by some kind of a crazy looking thing here. It's perfectly simple. You'll get it in no time if you are struggling with the concept. But yeah, you are not looking to just generate more points than your opponent. You are looking to beat them in as many categories as you can. And you'll find, if you've never done this before, that in real life, we kind of have certain types of hitters: power hitters, contact hitters. Well, power hitters, they're going to typically be very good at home runs, RBIs. A lot of times they walk a lot because pitchers are scared to throw them strikes, or else they may hit home runs. And then slugging. So it's pretty common to see if someone who hits 50 home runs be very good at home runs, RBIs, walks, and slugging. However, those players are usually not quite as good at running the bases, getting on base with contact. So their runs, their steals, usually the more powerful you are, the slower you are. Those guys usually don't have as high of averages, and they usually strike out a lot because they're swinging really hard and they're going for the fence. So you'll finding a batter who does all 8 of these really well is really valuable. Or it could be as simple as finding someone who hits a lot of home runs but somehow still never strikes out is also super valuable. So it gives you the opportunity to sort of build a team based on a strategy that you find compelling. So if you are interested in just going all pitching, you spend all of your keeper money and all of your top picks on aces and great closers, and you want to dominate 8-0. You want to win all of the pitching categories every week. And then when you're crafting an offensive strategy, you decide, I'm going to get the cheapest power bats I can find. I don't care if they strike out 30% of the time, if they steal negative bases because they get caught and they never successfully steal, and their average is 210. I'm just looking for like the Joey Gallos of the world, basically. And if you build an incredible staff and fill your team up with Joey Gallos, you'll probably win by default, slugging, home runs, maybe walks. And if you are 3 true outcomes only, I meant to say maybe RBIs. And if you're a 3 true outcomes whole team, you'll probably win walks too, because those guys will either get out, hit a homer, or walk. That was Joey Gallo special, right? So you can craft a strategy where you're trying to win all 8 pitching categories, and you're really just trying to scrape across 3 or 4 hitting categories. If you get 8 plus 3, that's 11. 11 of 16 categories means you win 11-5. So that's a viable strategy. And you can really do that however you want. You can go all offense and then just go get closers and try to win saves and holds, strikeout rate, probably batting average against, and you can just say, screw quality appearances, I don't care about that. We don't use wins, we use quality appearances. Wins are a garbage stat, I think, more or less. No offense to Hall of Famers, like having to have a certain amount of wins or whatever. Like it's not a garbage stat in real life, I guess, but in fantasy, like just objectively not good to me. Anyways, so that's how the system works. So, quick recap. Every year, we draft 30 players each team. Each player is assigned a value for which you will have to pay that the following year if you choose to keep them. Over the course of the years, players' contracts become more and more expensive if you keep them over and over. and you have to then make hard decisions between, well, what is the best value for you to get out of your $100 of keeper budget? How do you build to get closer to your goals? Are you buying? Are you selling? At the deadline, you should be doing one or the other, pretty much. At the keeper deadline, you should be doing one or the other, pretty much. And then all the while, I'm giving you kind of reports on what it's looking like. I'm creating these videos to help talk about what's happening. I'll have some of y'all on these videos too. We have a Discord where we can talk about the league and talk baseball. And ultimately, the vision is to trial if this could be a successful thing in a big picture, where we have many leagues all kind of operating under the same umbrella, and we rank teams. We have maybe a postseason tournament between teams. All of that is kind of the goal. So I need your questions from here if you have them. There's probably things I didn't cover. I do want everyone to pay me like $10 because these leagues, the settings that we use, they do cost. So there's a $130 premium charge, I think is what it is. Let me see. On video, you can see what the cost is. $129.95. There's 14 of y'all. If you all pay $9, I'll pay like the other whatever number of dollars that would be. It'd be really close. I'll cover the rest. But $9 would help me, or I'll split it up between y'all basically. If y'all wanted it to be a paid league and everyone was on board, I highly doubt it. It could be a paid league. I'm not involved. Like, it's up to y'all. I don't care. Our league is a $100 league, but I'm not expecting to fill 14 spots really quick in a league that's really complex, that's kind of out there. So I'm not anticipating this will be a paid league at all. But I would like everyone to be willing to pay $10 to invest in this because it's worth it. And I just don't want to pay $130, especially not if we do multiple leagues in the future. So anyway, I think the only real question that I have at this point, we're going to do it. I'm going to fill it up. I can find the people. The most compelling question that we have is, it can be a little bit boring year 1 and 2 when every expensive player costs just $12. $12 out of $100 is really not that much. You don't get some of those same complex decisions if everyone costs only 12. The first year of the league, we actually cut the keeper budget in half, so we would only have $50 of keeper budget. I don't know if that's quite right either, because at the time our prices were way different. We've graduated to these more expensive costs because everyone was keeping everyone every year, and we decided we needed to make the cost more significant so that you couldn't afford to keep everybody every year. Anyway, the question will just be, should we accelerate the cost a little bit at the beginning? So should the first year of drafted players be all third year prices? Or maybe the first 10 rounds are like year 3 prices, and then the next 10 rounds are year 2 prices, and then the next 10 rounds are year 1 prices. Something like that, where we can create a little bit more of a disparity between cost, which would then make buying and selling more fun. It just for sure does make it more fun. That's the only thing I'm really toying with at this point. But yeah, send me your questions. I want to create a Discord channel for just this new league. I'm still not exactly sure how much this league and my original league will interact, if at all, but I want to have a shared place where we can all talk, where I can distribute updates, put these videos, etc. So thank you for considering. Hope you're sold, because truly this is not a product you can just go get, on every corner, right? It's a bit different, but it's been crafted with care, and I think I'm really proud of it. I think you will enjoy both the gameplay, but also like what I do behind the scenes to help make it fun and interesting for everybody. So that's the vision. Yeah, let me know what questions you have. Otherwise, if you're sold, and I've sent this to you, I'm already sold, I think, probably. So send me your email that you have on a Fantrax account. I'll get you an invitation.